So thank you all for being present here. To give a quick introduction about myself, my name is Ninad Desai. I started my career as a database administrator and then got eventually into the DevOps SRE space. So I'm working with InfraCloud as a senior site reliability engineer. At InfraCloud, I mainly work to help client to get onboarded on cloud and handle their need in regards to infrastructure design, scale, modernization, as using the standard CNCF tool stacks, I would say, like Kubernetes, clouds, Terraform, and monitoring stacks like PLG, ELK, Datadog. Uh, and yes, we are hiring at InfraCloud as we are scaling. So if anyone is looking for a more better opportunities, please do hit our website and check on our career page. Okay. So just before starting with Argo Rollout itself, Argo Rollout is not the only Argo project. There are these four main projects: Argo Workflows, Argo CD, Argo Events, Argo Rollouts, and Argo Project Lab is like a lab R&D kind of environment where new projects are getting developed and so on. So this Argo workflow, basically, just to give some hint, I would say it helps you to create and run advanced workflows entirely on Kubernetes. Mainly, this gets used for ETL or ML related job processing. Then Argo CD, as just like a Flux, this is a CD tool which helps to implement GitOps and always make sure that your Git, which would be like a source of truth, would be always in sync with your cluster's desired state. Even if we change some object, it will always try to reconcile it and bring it to the again the same state as it is mentioned in your Git. Argo rollout, we would be talking in detail about the same topic today. It's a custom Kubernetes controller. That's what I would say at the moment. And Argo events, it basically acts as a, I would say, triggers based on the event using the K8s as a platform. So it can listen to any events like GitHub or GitLab notifications or any file based or any K8s events. And then it can trigger action, like it can trigger your Lambda functions, or it can create your K8s resources. It can send some or other sort of notifications as well. So that's, I would say, some context about these particular projects. Okay. So this is the agenda of our today's session. We will go through what the progressive delivery is, why we are choosing Argo rollout itself, how it works, its installation. We will do lots of hands-on around four different areas that I believe would be able to help you to give a proper gist and understanding around how Argo rollout can help you to achieve progressive delivery, I would say. So how I came to know about this term called progressive delivery or Argo rollout is I happened to work on one of the healthcare industry based client who came to InfraCloud with the ask that they would need help in achieving minimal to zero downtime deployment and with possibly minimal human intervention, I would say. And that's when, while working with our solution architect, I came to know about this progressive delivery term. And so eventually Argo rollout. We, if I am not mistaken, they had almost 16, 17 microservices based their application. And we helped them to achieve the Canary deployment using Argo rollout for the same. So I think it's been close to like last 5 years mainly, I would say. We have been all hearing quite a lot of times about cloud, DevOps, CICD pipelines mainly. And I think every single company that has been using CICD has seen the benefit of it. I recall at the start of my career, we were doing the deployments like once in a 2 months or 3 months. From there till the time recently, I saw like at least 7 to 8 deployments in a day on environments being carried out. So this is the outcome of using CI/CD process, I would say, continuous integration, continuous delivery. And I think my personal views are the world should move ahead from CD specifically and look for a solution like progressive delivery. Uh, I predict maybe at least an year or two, every company would start to now get onboarded onto the progressive delivery side. Some of you might be feeling that we are just starting with CI/CD. Then is it again good to start some or adopt some new other methodology? I would say yes, because this progressive delivery is based on the core tenets of your CD only. So the reason why I would say one should go for this progressive delivery is with CI/CD pipeline, continuously delivering the, I would say, software updates or upgrades to your system. Though we are trying to bring more customer satisfaction by bringing some more features, at the same time, as it is also been mentioned in Google's SRE book as well, right? Most of the systems instability related issues does occur because of the change in terms of these software deployments that we do. Does that mean that we should stop doing those deployments? Answer is obvious no. We should continue doing the deployments of your software upgrades, but while moving with the pace, we should have some sort of control over the same. And I think that's where that was the underlying thought behind having this progressive delivery as a term. uh, I think James Governor from Redmond was the one who coined this term actually. So this is a kind of, you can say, modern software development life cycle that's again been mentioned, been built on a core tenets of CI/CD itself. It basically allow you to pursue CD or a continuous delivery with quite safer way. And the big giant companies like Google, Facebook, or Microsoft, Amazon, they are already employing the progressive delivery at scale. For example, you might have seen sometimes this used to happen that you would be able to see some feature, but maybe someone of your colleague is not able to see that. That's because they are rolling it in a progressive way. And how these big companies start is they will basically start to roll out their new product market by market to a small percentage of users in each market. They will often start with the small English speaking countries like, let's say, New Zealand, before rolling it out to a larger market. This help them to do A/B testings as well. When I say A/B testing, as in, very simple example, if I have to put it like, let's say they are not sure like if we should put a login button at the center or it should be at the right side. What they would do is they will roll out both the versions, where in one version it would be on a left side, in one version it would be at the center, to a different geographically based users. And based on the user assessment, I would say, or the metrics they will derive from that, they would be able to decide, okay, I think this version would scale better, this is what the users are liking more. Okay, so how progressive delivery is different than continuous delivery, I would say, main difference is, with progressive delivery, you get the ability to gradually release your feature to a progressively larger percentage of audience. uh, uh, and that start with first your internal teams, then maybe beta testers, and then subsequently to a large number of audience. And if you detect at least even a 1% of errors or performance spikes or a user backlash, you would be immediately able to roll it back. Here impact would not be that high, like blast radius would be always minimal, because you would start with 1% of audience. If you are able to see if any issues are there, you would be immediately roll it back automatically. And that's like only a 1% of maybe revenue loss, and maybe 1% of customer satisfaction issues, compared to if it would have been given to like all the audience in one go. So that's the core, I would say, characteristics of progressive deliveries. I hope everyone is able to get some gist or understanding around how progressive delivery is a bit different than the continuous delivery. Any questions?
Yes, I have one question. So when we try to do a Canary deployment and we use header based to make sure only that specific changes has been the new change, right? During the Canary with the header based, only
Mhm.
few people using those headers will be able to get the new release. So is it something part of a progressive or is still a CD?
It's a part of progressive delivery, I would say.
It will be part of progressive only, right?
Yeah, yeah. It would be a part of your progressive delivery.
Because we have only one region, so we cannot target like region wise, right? So other alternative, what we were thinking is only to a small people for the beta means like a testing team. We use that, so that is considered as a progressive itself.
Right, right. Based on that only, I have added one hands-on as well, where I would be doing similar stuff what you said. That's how even we did for internal testing when we were delivering this solution for our client,
Yep.
where we use this header-based routing so that client's QA team would be able to use it and assess it way ahead before rolling it out further.
Yeah, got it. Just wanted to know the difference.
Okay, so before going in depth about, I would say, Argo rollouts, let's understand how and why we need to have something like Argo rollout when Kubernetes itself is helping us to get rid of many pain points. So in Kubernetes, we all know rolling update and recreate. These are the two strategies. Rolling update is a kind of default strategy, and uh, so even before that it was having a big bang kind of deployment strategy, I would say, in other regular world, where we were taking downtime, we were kind of eliminating old stack and recreating new stack. To avoid this kind of downtime, Kubernetes employed this strategy of rolling update, where let's say when you create a Kubernetes deployment, it internally create your replica set, and that replica set will eventually create all your pods. Okay, and when you let's say want to go from version 1.0 to 2.0, what eventually happen is once you update your deployment, it create another replica set with version 2.0, and this replica set, I would say, create another pod with version 2.0. Then it will do a health check based on the readiness or liveness or anything that you would set. And if it does find that it's looking good, then in that case it will start receiving traffic, and one pod from your older replica set would get deleted. And that's how one by one this rolling update strategy work. And eventually in the end you would be able to see all your pods from previous replica set been terminated, and from the new replica sets are being working and receiving your larger traffic. Okay, so there would be a question like, so this is already helping me in certain way to do a kind of minimal downtime kind of deployment, then why we would still need to have something like progressive delivery? The reason is, I would say, even though rolling update has already helped us, but there are some of these limitations, like you would not control directly the speed of rollout. Second, you would not be able to control the traffic flow to your new version compared to your older version. For some scenarios, your readiness probes are kind of, I would say, unsuitable for deeper or stress tests. You would not be automatically employ ability to query external metrics to decide whether your update is been completely working or not. And the main thing is it cannot automatically roll back. That these are the some of the limitations with a rolling update strategy, and that's where the original contributors of Argo rollout thought of developing something that would help to overcome these challenges with rolling update strategy, and that's how Argo rollout got uh, into the picture, I would say. So what it is eventually just a Kubernetes controller and a set of CRDs. It does provide you deployment strategies like BlueGreen, Canary with analysis. Recently, they have added experimentation. which would be more or used for destructive tests, right? And if you want to compare what this Argo rollout is, it just completely, you can say, drop-in replacement of your Kubernetes deployment. Like for deploying any of your microservice, if you are currently creating Kubernetes deployment, you can create a rollout component for the same. It just exact, I would say, replacement of your Kubernetes deployment. So these are some of the use cases about the Argo rollouts. Like you can run last minute functional test on your new version. You can compare the performance of old version versus new version, as I said, right? During the A/B test, you can do, and you would be able to control how much traffic you would want to redirect to the new version of the service. So this is how the, I would say, architecture of Argo rollout is about. uh, I would just try to put them in very simple words, I would say. Like when we deploy Nginx, right? Nginx, first thing we deploy is a Nginx controller who basically control all your ingress in terms of Nginx. Similarly, for rollout as well, you would be deploying a rollout controller. Job of this rollout controller is to check if there are any resources being deployed in your Kubernetes cluster of kind rollout, and make sure that this rollout state is always been as it is, that you want it to be. And apart from that, this, just like in deployment, right? When you create a deployment, it create your replica set, and that replica set create your pods. Here you can say it create a stable replica set that would be running your older version, and when you create a new version, it create a kind of Canary replica set, and that manages all your pods. Okay. Ingress, this is not directly, I would say, part of Argo rollout, but just to make it more understandable, ingress is any service mesh, I would say, be it is your Nginx controller or any service meshes that you are using. Those would be able to help you to route and roll out traffic in percentage way for your targeted microservice. And about this analysis template, you would be able to understand this concept more during the hands-on. But for doing analysis, ultimately, during your rollout, you would need to create the analysis template. In this analysis template, basically, we will define what kind of analysis it should do to decide whether it should roll out ahead or it should roll back your deployment automatically. And for that purpose, it create a kind of internally analysis run component. And that analysis run component can do any kind of analysis. It can use your Prometheus matrices, or you can create your custom KTS job as well, which, if I would say, can do some or other testing, that customized testing that you would want to do before deciding whether it should roll out ahead or not. Clear to everyone about how this works?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. So let's get our hand dirty a bit. Let's do Argo rollout installation. It's very simple installation, I would say. You just need to create a dedicated namespace, as we do as a standard practice in Kubernetes, and deploy your Argo rollout there. So I hope you all would have got access to these lab setups, right? Just click on this lab.
Not yet, Nimad. We need to share this link with them. Let them sign up and then do this. Just share the link on the chat.
Okay.
I'll share the link on the chat.
Sure. So Nipendra would be sharing this link with you. It's a platform being developed by Cloud Yoga team. Very handy, I would say, in terms of using for doing all your test or learning.
Yeah, so it's an environment which you can try it out. Again, there's no compulsion that you should be doing that, but this is like your entire workflow, and this would happen with very ease. So we appreciate if you kind of log into the platform and then open that link to kind of get the workshop. So we'll give you guys maybe a couple of minutes to sign up and then take it from there. Any questions meanwhile? That would be good to have.
So for with this Argo rollout, we won't be able to control the traffic, right? It is the number of pods that is in ready state. That is what this rollout controls, right?
Yes, the number of pods plus you would be able to control the traffic as well in certain way. It has that strategies and mechanism available using which you would be able to control that traffic. But in the essence, I would say yes, it control basically the amount of pod you would create, and yeah, it helps you to route the traffic to the new version. It would be able to control that traffic flow as well.
Okay.
So once you would be able to access the labs, you would be able to see this kind of environment being provided to you.
I think let's give it one more minute, Ninad.
Yeah,
1 or
sure,
2
sure.
minutes, and then
I'm just waiting.
yeah. So guys, just say thumbs up once we are done. So just say yes or thumb +1 on the chat as you have all set up. So we'll wait for at least 5 thumbs up to kind of take it forward. So Tulsi got it. So please let me know. Let us know. At least we are waiting for 5 years before we continue. Yeah, I think we are good if all of you have triggered the lab. Go ahead. I think you can just talk about briefly about how the labs look like, and then we'll continue, Ninad.
Sure, sure. So, guys, you would be able to see here some of the, I would say, facets about this platform I would show you. Like here you get this terminal where you can run all your regular Linux command, anything that you would like to do. Apart from that, it does provide you the IDE as well, just like a VS Code editor. You would be able to use it. We would be using it anyhow in one of the Handson here. You will be able to see it will open you a good code editor. Yep, just like this. Let's install a YAML, I would say, extension. It would be helpful for us later from visual perspectives. So this root for is something that you are currently able to see here on our labs here only. Okay. So I hope now all are logged into this console, right? We would be going through these all instruction set. One good thing is all instructions I have already copied here. You don't need to run any command as such here directly. All that you would need to do is just click on these green signs and they will do the job for you. They will execute commands for you there throughout the instructions. Apart from that, to access the Argo rollout console and all, we have already port been opened for the same. You would just need to click on these URLs, right click and open it into another tabs. Okay, so I have copied all the Argo rollout examples that I have created into this Git repo. This is a public repo, so you can fork it, and if not, then you can just clone it directly. Let me show you how you can do it. It's just that you. So right now you are able to see these were like a sample things that I had created in past. Now let me clone this repository. You would be able to see it is cloning, and if I do this, you would be able to see it has already cloned the repository. You would be able to see all the examples that I have added would be available here. Okay, same you would be able to see on this console as well. You would be able to see all those examples been added here. And if you would have already used the YAML extension, you would be able to see in good way, I would say, in these color formats. So I hope all are able to clone the repository, right? If yes, then we'll move ahead for the next instructions. So we would need a Helm 3 client. It would be used in one of the example to show how you can use Helm itself with rollout. And so just install the Helm client as well.
So guys, appreciate if you can give us a thumbs up and say yes on the chat as we kind of go, right? Because being on remote, it becomes difficult for us to kind of judge what's happening there. So if you be more interactive, it will be really helpful for all of us. But that's your choice. Yeah. Thank you.
do let us know in case you face any issues. So if you would be able to see now, we have installed Helm as well on our machine. You'll be able to see it is been deployed. And we were originally about to do the Argo installation, right? So for that, we would create a Argo rollout namespace, as you are able to see it here. So let me just create a namespace for it. You would be able to see it has created namespace. Let's verify if the namespace has been created correctly or not. Yep, the Argo rollout namespace has been created. So Argo rollout directly does provide a URL from where it can install this install.yaml file. I have just copied it for my own purpose. You can directly use the URLs from their official installation document as well. So let's install the Argo rollout. Just prior that, you would be able to see currently there is nothing running at the Argo rollout inside the Argo rollout namespace. So now let's deploy the controller. So you would be able to see it create CRDs and cluster roles and so on. You would be able to see now different objects been getting created here. Okay, so if you see it create a replica set, Argo rollout deployments and a pod. So let's just, you can refresh it by just clicking again on the same command. You would be able to see its status. So it was in container creating state. Now it is in running mode, but it is yet to be ready. Yep, now this is ready. So your Argo controller is been installed now. Just like to interact easily with Kubernetes, we use kubectl plugin, right? To interact with Argo rollout, you would need to have this Argo rollout plugin. So we would deploy the Argo rollout kubectl plugin as well here. Yep. So you can see the Argo rollout has been plugin been installed. It is showing its version as well. Now Argo the rollout does provide its own dashboard as well. It listens on port 3000. So what I have done in this lab is I have already opened it on port 3000. Just click on this and you would be able to see Argo rollout console available. Just click on this URL and open it into the new tab.
Here one quick question. We installed this Argo command line, right? So it is part of kubectl Argo rollout, or you are using the CRD, or it's a command line overall? Because we are doing with kubectl Argo rollout, right?
Yeah, so like the only difference I would say, when we execute kubectl command, we do like kubectl get deployments, right? This plugin is kubectl Argo rollout get rollouts, I would say. So
okay. Because for Argo CD, we have a command line for Argo CD, right? So I thought it will be in that way.
So you can do that as well, or basically it's like that you can insert the plugin. That I think what Niraj is doing is a very easier way, so that you don't require to remember the Argo CD command and so on. You just go with the kubectl way itself. So it's a personal choice per se. There's nothing changes per se. Even if you go with the Argo CD, Argo command, or you go with the kubectl command, it's similar.
Okay.
And just for sake of showing, I would say you will be able to see all the commands provided by Argo rollout here. Okay, we would be using them in our demo further. Okay, so currently you would be able to see it as a blank, and it is just normal. Don't get confused. Once we will create rollout objects, you would be able to see them here. Go back to again. So we have done the installation of our controller. We'll move with some more details about it, and then again come back. So we'll move in this way. We'll go into the slides, then we'll go back and do hands-on on the concept that we have learned. We have seen already how Argo rollout work. We have done now the installation of rollout as well. Right. This is how the UI would look like once you create your rollout objects. You would be able to see it very soon. So in terms of rollouts, these are different specs been available. All these you would be able to understand much better way when we will be doing the hands-on mode. Okay, but just to give a quick comparison, compared to the specs of deployment. The difference is in case of our Kubernetes deployment, right? The kind is deployment, API version is also different. These are the two different, and the main difference is the strategy. You would be able to see here. This is the strategy. Like you can use BlueGreen strategy, or in case of Canary, you would be set up Canary deployment strategy as well. You would be able to mention the Canary service, table service, analysis templates, and so on. And for the traffic control as well, right? You would be able to add this traffic routing parameter. I think someone was asking. So Argo Rollout help in this way to do the traffic routing as well. We would get to these things more in during the demo. I would say you would be able to understand in much better way. Okay, so moving ahead. So BlueGreen is one of the, I would say, main strategy provided by Argo Rollout. I think some of you might be already familiar with this concept of rollout. How it BlueGreen rollout work is. Let's say currently you are running application version 34. So you'll be having some load balancer, and all your client requests are going to via this load balancer to your application version 34. Now, let's say you want to deploy a new version. So what you would create is you would deploy another set. Let's say right now for version 34, you are running 3 pods. Now you will create another 3 pods, which would be running your application version 35. Okay. So you would be having your old version and new set of application version. Just that it is not yet receiving the new traffic. What you would do is after, let's say you do some tests internally to check that new version is working well, then you will cut down the traffic from old version to the new version. And once you are able to see that it is correctly working well, you can set a timeout value, after which this your old version, I mean to say old pods of the applications would terminate and the new version would be completely running. Is everyone clear with this blue-green concept?
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So these are the different specs, I would say, in case of you want to do a blue-green kind of deployment. Main thing I would say is focus on this rollout type, API version, and the strategy part. The rest all part you would be able to see is similar to Kubernetes deployment that we do. Okay, in strategy, in case of blue-green deployment, you would need to mention it, which is your blue, that is old version or active, currently active version, and preview service would be your new version of the service. Okay, and currently in this spec that I am showing, I have stopped the auto promote. So there is this parameter been provided by Argo Rollout. So which will make sure that it will not automatically cut down the old active service and use the new service. Here we would be doing a manual intervention to promote this in to promote the traffic from old version to new version only after we are sure that the new version is working well. Okay, the only thing different with Canary here is no live production traffic would be going to your preview or new version of the service, I would say. That's the main difference between blue-green and Canary. Okay, let's do some hands-on in the same lab that we did earlier. So if you would be able to see here, after Argo installation, there is this option available for blue-green deployment where you would be able to see the specs that we have created. So we will be creating just kind of like the deployment, we would be creating a rollout object where I have mentioned I want to run 2 replica set of this version, and it will be basically running one sample container, which would show you on a console the blue version. It is running on port 8080, and the strategy it is using is the blue-green. And in blue-green deployment strategy, you would create the 2 services. One service would be your active one, and one is your preview service one. If you see, nothing is changed except their names. And here for demo, we would be using Nginx controller. So we would be creating an ingress which would route our traffic to our services. So how the flow would be from your client request, it will go to your ingress. From ingress, it will start routing traffic to your initially stable version. And once we promote it, it will cut down and start moving all the traffic to your new version. Okay. And I hope all of us are already familiar that basically service is able to find out its pod using labels and selectors. Same thing happens here. Initially, your active service is having those selector labels matching, using which it is able to route the traffic to your active version. And what you would be able to see once we promote this deployment, your preview service would start receiving traffic, as well as your active service would start routing traffic to your new version only. Okay. How we can do the demo is just execute this command. What this command will eventually do is, in this console, you would be able to see in this example, all these objects, basically it will deploy. We are doing kubectl deploy only. Okay. So let's just execute this command, which will deploy these objects. You would be able, we are currently just for testing purpose deploying it in default namespace. So right now we are deploying, let's say, your blue version of the service. It is creating two services that we have told him to do. It is creating 2 pods, as we have requested for 2 pods. You can refresh it here. Okay. And now it is in running mode. You can access the console of this application by just right click and open it in the new tab. So right now, just for a demonstration purpose, you would be able to see the container that we are running. It is showing you all these blue dots. Okay. So that means you are running the blue version of your application. Let me know if everyone is able to follow it till here. You guys are able to do this demo so far?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
So now let's go back to that Argo rollout console. If you will refresh this page, you would be able to see it running. So you would be able to see, earlier it was a blank console. Now it is showing the rollout objects that we have created here. Okay. It is currently running revision 1. So going forward, either you can use this console, Argo console, or you can use the command line as well. I would prefer command line doing. And from here, you would be able to roll out further. You can promote or you can abort rollout as well. So now currently those 2 blue pods are receiving traffic. That's why you are able to see all those blue dots on your machine on the client front end. Okay. And this is currently your stable service. So what is happening is, from ingress, it is going to your stable service. From stable service, it is getting routed to the pods running the blue version. Okay. So now let's move here and deploy the green version. So what right now I'm going to do is, you would be able to see this way the use of kubectl Argo rollout plugin. If you would be able to see, it has created a replica set, and that replica set has created 2 pods. It is running with that capacity only. Now let's change the image so that it will create a blue version of your green version of your application. Currently you are able to see it is running 2 pods. Now when I will deploy the green version, it will create another version of your application, but running the green version, I would say. So now if I will run this again, you would be able to see it is creating the new 2 new pods, which would be running your green version. Okay, so these are runnings. You would be able to see on a console side as well. The new revision has got created. It is showing the new revision is able to run these 2 pods that we were able to see there. Okay, but in console side, it is still showing blue version. Reason because we have not yet shifted the traffic from blue to green. That's what I was referring earlier, that your live production traffic would not be, I mean, you would not be able to do the testing of your live production traffic directly uh, in the blue-green version, I would say. Unless what you can do if you are going to opt the blue-green is, we would be able to use traffic routing mechanism like Nginx or any other, and you can use the custom headers to pass the traffic to the your new version preview service and able to do some test on it. So we would be doing demo on that. So now let's do the promotion. Okay, when we do promotion, what will happen is traffic will be routed from blue version to green version, and let's do that here once. So I will do the promote. Okay, so the moment we do promote here, you would be able to see now your green version of the application has started receiving all the traffic, client traffic, compared to your initial blue version.
I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, when I check the labels of those pods, it is showing rollout dash blue green,
Mhm.
and we have two services,
Mhm.
right? One is selecting the rollout blue green. Oh, both are pointing to blue green only. Got it.
So
Okay.
the way, I mean, this
Mhm.
Argo rollout does is it use the pod template hash value. Okay, you would it changes the pod template hash value so that this service that your active service that was running there would also now start pointing to your new version of the pods.
Okay. Got it.
That's how it works.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. I hope everyone is clear till here. And
Yes, yes.
now, yeah, now you are still seeing both the pods, and if you see after the promotion, it has now started terminating the old pods as well. That's why the revision 1 pods have been removed now. You can set a timer value for it, for how many long hours, like that would be a standard practice, I would say. Make sure that your old version is still available, so that even in case of some issues, you don't need to again create the application, the old version. It's just that you need to shift or roll back the traffic routing. You would be able to see earlier there were 4 pods. Now it is back to 2 pods because it has deleted those older version pods. Okay, so let's now delete this setup. So we will do kubectl delete, and it will basically terminate all your pods, everything that we had created so far. So we don't need this now. It's a blank one only again. So let's go back to slides again. We will see now the concepts around how Canary deployment does its work. Okay, so just before moving that, I would say these are some of the pros and cons that I see in terms of blue-green deployment. You get client API consistency. That's a plus point. I would say your preview stack can be tested even before your live traffic goes to that, and rollbacks are immediate because your pods are already been running as a standby mode there. So in case of issues, you can just switch the traffic and roll it back, and you would be again running your older version. But yeah, it comes with the cost of running 2x of your resources, and you cannot do a fine-grained Canary kind of deployments with it. This cost you can reduce as there is one parameter available which would help you to make sure that how many number of pods of your new service you would want to run. You can limit it in certain way to reduce the cost, but yeah, it will still incur a bit of cost for you. So moving ahead with the Canary deployment concept, how it work is again, the same example, let's say you are running your application version 34, you are receiving all this traffic via your load balancer. What now you do is you will create a new version of your application, let's say again a green version, but you would not be routing all the traffic. You would be initially creating only one pod of your new version. You would route it a 1%, 10%, or a canary traffic. If you are able to see those requests are getting correctly routed, then you would increase number of pods, and also you would increase the percentage of traffic that you are routing to it. And once you are happy with it, you would be full-fledged using the new version. Here the cost factor will not be affecting much, because let's say currently you are running 5 pods as part of your application version 34, and you deploy the application version 35. Initially you said you would need only 20% of traffic to be routed. It will create one pod alone, and it will terminate one pod from the old version, just like in case of rolling update. So that's why your pod count will be always what you have asked as a desired one. Okay. In terms of spec, earlier we had defined BlueGreen. Here you would be defining Canary. In case of rollout and you are using traffic routing mechanism, you would need to define both these things. You would be able to see it in the third demo that we would be doing. And here, as I said, right, you would be able to control the traffic that you are routing, ultimately the number of pods that you are creating. Let's say I'm running 5 pods, and if I set weight initially to 20%, what it will do is, out of old 5 pods, it will terminate one and create a new pod of new version 1. You can add a manual pause as we did in earlier case as well, and you can do some testing on your new pod. Only 1%, or I would say 20% of your traffic, production live traffic, would be going to this new version. Okay. If you are happy with the results, then you can set further weights, and accordingly it will create new pods, at the same time start terminating the old pods. And you can set up the duration as well for the same. So yeah, let's understand this more using doing some hands-on. So here you would be able to see this is this option B, right? These are the specs that I just now defined. These you can set a weight, whatever amount of steps you can add in that. Right now in this example, we are not doing Nginx or any other traffic routing mechanism that we would be doing in last demo that we would be doing. Okay. Yeah, again we would be creating one ingress here. For this demo, you just need to create one service, and that service will route traffic to both. So clear to all. Let's just do a demo of it. Again, this example you would be able to see I have already created here. This will be available for you, even you want to play around it later. All these ingress and all are being available here. So let's just deploy this Canary version. You would be able to see it has been created. So we have defined 5 as a replica count, and that's why these 5 pods are getting created here. Okay, these are running. You again can access your application by clicking on this URL. Okay, again you would be able to see the blue version is running. Everyone is able to follow till here? Let me know in case you are facing any issues with demo. So now we are initially running again the old version of our application. Okay. Now again, if you want to access it via GUI, you can go and use the rollout app console. So you would be able to see again the rollout objects been created here. You would be able to see what things we have defined there already. 5 pods of old version is running. We have defined the steps as well for Canary, how it should progress ahead. Okay, and now let's do the promotion of new version. You will be able to see it is currently running replica 1, which is replica set 1, which is running these pods. Now I am changing this time image from blue to yellow, as you are able to see it here. So image has been updated. If you would be able to see here now in terms of pod, one old pod is terminating and one new pod is getting created here. That's why it will always maintain a replica count of 5. You would be able to see your new version. Yellow dots are also coming here. In terms of revision, as you see here, it is waiting now on pause. Initially, you were running 5 pods, right? Now, one pod from old version is terminated and new pod is been created with the new version. And that's why, so out of 5 pods, 4 pods will be kind of showing the older version. One pod would be showing your new version. And that's why you are able to see very small amount of yellow pods running in here. Okay. And this is already been shown there. And now when we will do a full promotion, I would say it will start terminating all those old pods. Basically, it will move ahead with these steps. We are kind of doing unpause here for this step. So let's just promote it. Keep an eye on in terms of pods. You would be able to see it is terminating one by one old pods. You would be able to see the it is increasing the pod count here. Best way to look out for it is via GUI. You would be able to see it has created 3 pods, so it is terminating 1 pod. It is moving ahead with the versions. You would be able to see now soon it is running most of your yellow version only. Okay, since this is just a demo, these weightage are being kept in like in terms of seconds. In production, you would increase this value to a much higher number. So now, right now, your entire new version is running. You would be able to see it will terminate. It has terminated all the old pods and created the new set of pods. Okay, so that's how the Canary does work. It you can control to certain extent the traffic routing. Okay, hope all are able to do this demo.
Yes.
Cool. So let me delete again this setup that we did created just now. You would be able to see it is being removed now. So let's go back to slides again. Okay, so as you have seen, the Canary is kind of simple one. It does not require any special service mesh. A bit better advantage than doing rolling update, but yeah, you will not be able to do a fine grain Canary weight without running number of many pods. Okay, and compared to BlueGreen, where you would be able to roll back immediately because your old version is still running as a standby. In case of Canary, rollback is comparatively slow because again to shift from let's say yellow version to your blue, that is old version, you would need to terminate one pod here, then create one new pod there. In that way, it would go. Okay, and yeah, you would need to you would be doing a production traffic testing only there, but these advantages can be uh, overtaken by using the analysis steps here for the Canary purpose. Okay, and that's what we would be doing further. So Argo Rollout has this very amazing feature called analysis, where let's say right now someone did ask, right? They do by passing the custom headers, they can do analysis. Here the manual intervention is there. You can, instead of ask Argo Rollout itself, thanks to this analysis feature, to do all those testing for you, and based on that result of your analysis, you can decide whether it should roll out further or roll back the new versions deployment. Okay, and there are different ways available. You can do a background analysis, where an analysis objects will create and it will continue running in the background unless and until your deployment is completed. Second approach is your inline analysis, where you would add that analysis as a step during your deployment. And for BlueGreen related deployment, you can do the BlueGreen pre-promotion analysis and post-promotion analysis. Again, the sole purpose of this analysis component is to let you automatically decide whether to roll out or roll back, and in what scenario it should do that. Okay, like in case of Canary, you would be able to do this way. You would be able to do a background analysis where you would define this component here. You would add a template name. So this template name will ultimately create a new KTest component for you, and whatever things we will ask him to perform as an analysis, it will do, and based on that, it will pass the result again, saying, okay, it is good to go ahead, and so on.
Yeah, one more thing. This analysis, can I put it to some Prometheus and check if I'm getting more 200s or 400, something of that sort?
Yes, you can do that. I would be showing that. The specs of that as well. Okay, so you can use any of your monitoring tool. You can use Prometheus, Datadog, or any other. In my case, I had to initially use Datadog. Then client had some other requirements, so we created a custom job as well. So as part of this analysis, you can create your own custom Kubernetes jobs that you can trigger. Okay, so compared to background analysis, where it will run continuously, in case of inline analysis steps, you can add it here as a steps only, so it will not move ahead unless and until this analysis is completed. Okay, it is more suitable for doing this benchmarking kind of test. In case of BlueGreen, you can do pre and post promotion analysis, where let's say once your new version is available, you can add this as a pre-promotion, where you would be running your templates. Via this template, you would be running either your custom job, or let's say you have some monitoring tool. From that monitoring tools, whatever you are checking as a 200 or any metrics, you would be able to do that, so that once you are confident enough that okay, this new version is been rolled out correctly, then you would do a traffic shifting from old to new version, as well as a part of post promotion analysis. Even once your new traffic is been routed, that time as well you can do the analysis part again. So it has both of these capacities available with it. Okay, so I think this is what you were asking, right? So as part of this analysis, I can so they have providers for Prometheus and for any monitoring tool, you can say. And like in this example, we are using Prometheus provider, and via this provider, we are particularly running a query that one would normally run in directly by logging into the observability tool to check if new version is correctly running or not. Okay, like here in this case, we are defining that if it gets some 500 related errors, and if its percentage is more than like 0.95, as in you can say 1% more, if the new version is getting errors more than 1%, then we would tell our rollout to stop that promotion ahead and just let me take back to the older version. You can run the custom jobs as well. The provider difference here, like here in this case, you would be able to see Prometheus as a provider. Here you would pass job as a provider. We will be doing this as a Handson now. Okay, So I hope this is what you were looking for, right?
Yes, Niman. Correct.
Okay, because I had done the similar work where for Datadog, I had to install a Datadog agent, and basically using that, it would connect to Datadog. It will try to run those queries and decide whether to promote ahead or not. Okay, let's do a hands-on of it. In this hands-on, we will be running a small single job based on the if that job is successfully completed or not, it will promote. If not, it will roll it back. Okay, so we would be doing both kind of demos. So here I have added a demo for the same as well. So what you would be able to see here, now let me go back to this console. So I have added an example for Canary with analysis that you would be able to see here. Rollout, service, ingress, objects all remain almost same. Okay, in rollout object, we would be adding a step to do the analysis. You would be able to see it here. So I am doing an inline analysis where I am asking rollout to go back, use this template. So this template is been created by using the analysis objects. Okay. And here, just for demonstration purpose, I am running a busybox container. We all know once busybox container complete successfully, it exits with status 0. So that's where hypothetically imagine our analysis template is telling rollout, okay, I am able to do analysis successfully. Please go ahead and do the further rollout promotion. Okay, and later we will make it fail as well by just inducing a component which will make sure that this analysis gets failed. We will just uncomment it. Let's see both the demos again. Okay, so what happens eventually is if you recall the architecture where I mentioned, right, the analysis template create an analysis run kind of object, and that analysis run eventually create a custom Kubernetes jobs, and that job would run whatever commands, like it will run the create a Kubernetes job that will run this busybox image. So let me deploy it here. Okay, you would be able to see it has created. You would be able to see all the objects been created. Again, the blue version is running. Okay, if I refresh it, you would be able to see it is using Canary strategy. We have added a pause of 10 seconds. So currently, when you are doing first rollout, it does not do analysis. Okay, now when we will change the image name, or let's say we are doing an upgrade, that time it will do the analysis as a step. Okay, and let me show one more thing here. You would be able to see those objects being created as well. So currently it is running 5 pods. Okay, you would be able to see, thanks to the analysis template object that we have created, it has created an object called analysis template, custom CRD, you can say. When we will do the rollout, this analysis template will create an object of kind analysis run. Right now, you would not be able to see it. Okay, it is showing no resource found. And this analysis run will create that Kubernetes job for us. Okay, right now it is not showing. So let's do the promotion of from the old version to the new version here again. So let's say instead of blue, now I want to do a yellow version. So let me run the yellow version of the application. You would be able to see here. So this Canary and check analysis template will now create the analysis run object once it will reach to that step. Okay. So you would be able to see 20% of traffic would be routed here. So now the analysis part is done. When analysis part is done, it is initiating analysis run. You would be able to see it again here. Okay, this should create an analysis run object. You would be able to see it created analysis run object, and that analysis run object created a job for us. It ran that job, in our case, just a busybox container, and it exited with the completed status as a exit 0. Okay. It has promoted new and it is terminating old revision. We would be able to see many yellow bin there. Okay, I think it has promoted quite fast. Yep. So if you see, the new version has been coming and the old version is terminating back, because we are using here as a Canary analysis plane. Clear to everyone? Anyone has any doubt about this demo or anything?
So Nina, can we say that this BlueGreen and Canary, okay, it's all a set of procedures. So if we get an idea from here, we can be able to do it for our own service and deployment sets, correct? Would that be fair to assume like that?
So you mean to say how I can use the rollout for doing the BlueGreen for my own objects, or you are saying about creating your own custom CRDs?
No. You just gave here in this workshop an example how to do this, correct? So
Right.
basically, we started with this Argo Rollouts, and we created the objects, right? That is application specific and all that. And then there is a technique by which you do this kind of a BlueGreen, and then you went to Canary, correct?
Right.
So if you follow the similar kind of steps and all that to achieve it, I think we can be successful in any other production, any other customers as well. That's correct.
Yes, right. But as I would say, like, I believe is that, see, the challenge with us is when you want to develop something, it would take 30% of your effort, but maintaining it, it would take 70% of your effort. So my personal philosophy is use it as a managed service. Like if someone has already solved a problem for you, either you can leverage that, but yeah, if you have some custom need and you want to develop something like that, yes, using the same principle as you mentioned, you can develop something on your own.
Something. I mean, not something on your own. It is basically, it's what I understood. It's a kind of a procedure, right? You do it and you can replicate it. Or is it something more to it and all that? Are you saying that? Because your statement was mentioning that there is some 30% and then 70% is on the maintenance. What does that mean?
Okay, so initially I thought you are saying that similar kind of custom tool you would like to create on your own. That's what initially I felt. And
no. I'm asking a very basic one. See, now as you said very clearly. So let's say, I don't know, maybe myself, I'll put myself in the thing. And I come from a CD only, okay? Continuous deployment. Now I want to have an idea of progressive deployment. Okay, I suppose I want to take like this and then suggest that, yes, Argo CD rollout is there. Okay, it is open source. And then that is also trusted also. So probably in our, let's say in a DevOps and all that, we could try this out. We can have a demo, so we can create our objects here, application objects and all that, and then we set it up like this, and then we can have our BlueGreen, and then we can go to Canary as well. So, so this can be done, right? Like following these steps.
Yes. Following these steps, you would be able to do it. That's how we did it when client came to us with after giving proposal. We showed them, we picked one of their microservice and we tried to show them doing this way. So yeah, I mean, when you want to approach or propose this kind of solution, yes, you can follow all these steps and you would be able to show them how to achieve this deployment. Basically, use this set of tools and do it.
And this is open source, or this is something like, they are giving some add-ons and then the paid service is there?
It's open source solution.
It's open source.
So you can use it as it is.
With your experience, right? How many microservices you have been used till now for using Argo rollout?
So the need that I had for the healthcare client, right? I said it was having, I think, uh, 28 or 29 microservices that we converted from deployments into the Argo rollouts.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is no upper cap for that, I would say. Uh, Maybe what you, as a principle you can follow is whatever you are running as a stateless services, right? You can go ahead and convert them into the rollouts,
Yeah. Stateless, right? Yeah.
the
So
stateless.
no, actually, my use case is where we have around more than 700 to 800 microservices.
Okay.
So will it be a good idea? But now we are using Istio part of it for doing Canary.
Okay. So Argo rollout has integration for Istio as well available for traffic routing. So yes, you can do that, I would say. And I haven't seen any upper limit about how many services you can do as long as you have a good robust clusters and so on, I would say. So you can do that. My approach was like in my case as well, like I did not directly went and did it for all 29. We started one by one service in a phased manner. That's one thing I would say you would see been added as a learning, that it's a continuously like an iterative process when you want to shift from CD to progressive delivery. Start with one, then show the success of it, then plan for few more, and that way you can go ahead for it.
Got it. Well, how about the response for the Argo rollout UI? If you scale it to that much extent?
Uh, in my scenario, I did not get any issues. Client has, you can say, GitHub Actions been available. So via GitHub Actions, eventually we were doing all these things. We did not had to use the console specifically for the same purpose.
Got it. Got it.
And it has a good community support as well, I would say. That's my personal experience when, because it was a completely new thing for me. But I saw the community is quite good in terms of response. You would be able to get all the helps that you would need in case you get stuck.
Okay.
Some of the companies like Intuit itself, right? The one who is official maintenance of it, they
Yes.
are using the Argo rollouts only for all their microservices, and I think their number is, I believe, quite similar to maybe what you are suggesting here.
Okay.
Okay, so I hope it's clear till here. Now let's delete this setup. Now this time we will do a hands-on to see how it roll back in case it get unsuccessful, right? So I have deleted the current setup that we did here. You would be able to see it has been stopped. These things also would have been vanished by now. Okay, cool. So now what we will do is to make sure and see how it roll it back in case it find issues during the analysis is use this IDE console, right? Here you are able to see I have opened this analysis. You can open it at your end as well and just uncomment this. Okay. We are purposefully here trying to make that our analysis should get failed, because after running this command, let's say job will exit with non-zero status, and that will make analysis believe that, okay, my analysis is not successful. Let me pass that message to the rollout saying, see, the new service seems to be not working as expected. And then Argo rollout will say, okay, then let me roll it back to the old version itself. Okay. So just uncomment it, save it here only. And now let's run again the setup thing. Again, let's follow the same step that we did earlier here. So again, we will run the same commands. Okay. Let's see if the objects has been created. So yeah, the new objects are getting created here. Okay. You would be able to see its age as a 6 second. The blue version is again there. The new revision has been there. The only difference, as I said, right, this time is that we have added a command argument which will make sure that our analysis will be failing this time. Okay. So now let's try to promote the yellow version as we did prior. Okay. Okay, you would be able to see the one pod is terminating, and so now one of yellow pod is coming. Okay, let's focus here. We would be able to see now the analysis is running. Okay, ideally this analysis should get failed. So if you see analysis got failed, so it terminated the old pod, created a new pod of the old version itself. So whatever initially the yellow version was available has disappeared, and again it is now fully running on the old version itself. You would be able to see those analysis runs getting failed here. Right. Okay, it was showing earlier successful. This time it showed it as a failed. Okay. Would be able to see it is being rolled back to the older version. It says here in the commands, if you see, rollout aborted to update to version 2 because metric test failed, and that's why based on the failure limit it has rolled it back to the older version. So I hope able to see the capabilities, how it roll ahead as well as roll back without any human intervention for us. Clear enough till this time? Anyone has any other doubt? I hope everyone is able to follow the demo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So let me delete this setup again. Let's go back to slides. Okay, so apart from this, as I said, right, Argo Rollout does provide you a traffic management capability as well. And the advantage of this traffic management is basically you are able to reduce the blast radius. That means in case of failure, effect will not be as hazardous, I would say, or as a nightmare compared to if you would have done it as a 100% rollout of the new service. And there are various techniques. Either you can use a raw percentage where you will constantly sending only 5% traffic to the new version only. Second is a header based routing, the one that we opted for our project. And the third is a mirror. You can mirror all the traffic that you are sending in production to the new version as well. And these are the different traffic routers already been supported by Argo Rollout. You can use AWS ALB, or you can use Istio Nginx controller, or any other SMI as well for the same. Okay, we will be doing demo as well of it. The in this demo, the next demo that we would be doing, I have used a Helm chart. So whatever we were able to see so far as a rollout services, I have just wrapped them under one Helm chart to show how it looks into the rollout. And just like any other Kubernetes deployment where we use these kind of variables to replace values, you can do the same for the Argo rollouts as well. Okay, the key difference here when you want to use a traffic routing mechanism is this section you would add here, and you would just mention a stable service. Thanks to these annotations, what it will do, it will create a Canary version of service as well. And here, if you see these two parameters, Canary by header, Canary by value. So here, for demonstration purpose as well as in my experience, we tried to pass a custom headers. So imagine our QA team is doing testing. So that time while doing the testing, they can use these custom headers and get connected to the new version of your service and do whatever test they want to perform on it. This would be more helpful around, I would say, in case of BlueGreen as well as in Canary as well. So I think someone was asking about the same. This way you can add the custom headers path as well. So we will be doing a demo around the Nginx as a one to pass these headers values, and we would be able to see we are directly hitting the new version of the pod only, new version of your application service only. Rest all part remains same. The only section that you would add in your rollout is this one. So clear till this? Okay. Let's do a demo of it, and I think that way you would get some fair understanding around it as well. So have added a demo for it here. Okay. So we will create a one namespace. It could be of any name. I just when was doing demo, I thought of this and so added it here. So before doing that, one thing you would need to do is, so create a namespace has been directed here. Now go back to your IDE. Okay. Here you would be able to see a demo been added called as a Argo traffic management demo. Inside it, in your values here, values file, try to search for host. Okay. So I have added here this particular host name. You would need to do similarly for your as well. Very easy way is just copy this your entire URL that you have, right? And from that, you would be able to get your header host name as well. If you see here, from this value of your URL, just keep this particular name and remove rest of the all, and pass that value, update that value here. So in the repository that you have cloned, it would be showing this particular host name, which is of mine. You can replace with your host name. How? Just copy this URL, copy from the host name, remove this HTTPS part, just copy from this section onwards till the Cloud Guru section, remove this next part as well. Okay. So, and after doing that, just save that change. So here you would be able to see inside templates, all those objects that were earlier we were using. I have wrapped them as a Helm chart. Okay. Here, when you are using the traffic routing, you need to mention which is your Canary service, which is your stable service. Mention the your Nginx ingress and these headers. And if you see in terms of values, what I am passing here as a part of demo is I'm just passing two custom headers and its value as you would be able to see here. I'm passing one header named Canary and passing value as yet. You can pass it anything here. The advantage is that when we are so for imagining that we want to connect to our new version of service, we will be doing curl requests, and we will be seeing that those curl requests are always landing on your pods of the new version of the service. Okay, you would not be able to see anything in UI, I would say, this kind of UI, because it is not built in that way. It is just a plain Nginx container that I am running here. So once you change the host name here, just do helm install. I have given this name, just run this command. Okay, it will show you that it has installed this Helm chart. Okay, you would be able to see it inside the Helm list. This has been deployed. You can see the rollout has created two pods. It is creating two pods for it right now. Yeah, so our two pods are available now. Okay, So now to upgrade it, what we will do is, initially you would be able to see the version tag here as a 1.19.1. We will update with 1.20 and we will do Helm upgrade. Once we do Helm upgrade, it will in the backend do the same stuff. It will create a new replica set using Argo rollout, which would be running this particular version. Okay. So let's go back here. Look for the image, right? So now instead of just uncomment, comment out this one and use a version like 1.20.0. Save these changes. Okay. This is our old version of the service been running. Now let's upgrade it. We have changed the image version. Just Helm upgrade standard commands, you would run it. Okay, so it has deployed a new version of the service. We can see in the backend, it is initiating a new revision. It is creating a new pods as well here. Can you see here? So you would be able to see this is a new pod been created of new version, and these pods are of old version. Okay. So what we will do kubectl log to open logs of this particular pod, and we will be sending curl requests to this host with custom headers that we are passing. Okay. So you can just copy this command. Go back here. Copy this name of new pod. So we will be constantly checking logs of this pod. Ignore this for a moment. Okay, and now we will be sending curl request to this particular pod. The way we will do it, we will pass this command Canary. We will pass this custom header and its value as yep. And again, just replace your host name here and do a constant curl request to this. Okay, let me copy this. Go back to IDE. Okay, let me copy my host name. Okay, and now whenever we will hit the curl request, you would be able to see the request getting routed to this new pod that we are creating. Okay. Can you see this request has appeared here? If we will do again, see the output is getting added here. If I do again, you would be able to see again the request is getting routed here only. Since we are using Canary version, even if you like I would say remove header, sometime request will land on the old version, sometime it land on the new version. But from internal testing perspective, I would say you can let your QA team to do these kind of custom header based routing or any other traffic routing mechanism sometime, and that way they would be always able to connect to your new version of the service. Any doubt or anything as around it?
I'm getting a page not found. I'm trying to figure out what is wrong with the saying 404 not found.
It's okay. I think
In the ingress host name.
I hope you're not checking on UI side, right? The 404 is expected to get because we are not using any index HTML page, right? Customized page where it will go and land. So if you see on my machine as well, it is showing the 404. That is expected output. All that we are trying to show or see here is whenever you route past the custom headers, it should land on your new pods alone. Okay, so that 404 is expected because we do not have created any landing page for the same. Just make sure to check that your new pods are getting the version of the service. Okay, now like if I have to show here, now I just now if you see I promoted the new deployment which created the new pod which was 66 seconds ago. Now let's say if I access that new pod, it's this pod which has been recently created, right? So I'm accessing its log. And whenever I will pass the headers, right? Now the request has landed on the another tab. Now it will land here. Can you see? Because now we have two pods running of our new version. One time it will go to that pod, one time it will come to this pod. Is anyone able to get the overall concept around this? Feel free
Yes,
to
yes.
ask in case of you have doubts around this particular concept or around the technique. Let me delete this and hope all are able to understand this concept, right? Traffic routing one. Shall we move ahead?
Yes, yes.
So this is the new feature been added into the Argo rollout called as a experiment. Okay. What basically this experiment does differently is it create a set of pods just like in other demo that we did where it create a new version of the service or let's say new version of the pods. Here it will create those pods and you can set a kind of expiry date after. So those would be like an ephemeral one, and the traffic, live traffic would not be going to them. Even if you use Canary version, no live actual traffic would be going to them. this experiment feature is basically launched so that you would be able to do some or other sort of destructive testing as well. When I say destructive testing, that means you would not be doing the actual application functionality test, but would be purposefully running the test to check what are the point of failures of your applications. Okay, or in case, let's say you want to not only do AB version kind of testing, but ABC, where you can create multiple experiments, and those experiments will create a self-isolated version of your application services apart from the one that is stably running. And against those isolated version of your application, you would be running a set of different tests that you would want to perform. Okay. So yeah, in terms of spec, I would say you can just add another section here compared to what we did prior. This section you would add as an experiment, and in this experiment, again, you can run your analysis as well. Okay. So the main advantage is it will not have any cascaded effect on your stable running service. Those services will be running as it is. You would want to do some experimentation with your production running services. That's where this would be helpful. You would create a version of the service. No one of your user would be able to understand that you have created a new service and you are running a different kind of test around it. Okay. I was not able to create a complete demo for it, but I have added an example for the same. If you see in the examples, I have added an example. You can just run those examples directly to get a feel of it. Okay. And so yes, coming back to question, let's say you are currently running all the Kubernetes deployments, and now from Kubernetes deployment, you want to go for the rollout option. What changes ultimately you would need to do is you need to change the kind from deployment to rollout. You will change the strategy, and you would need to create an additional service to route the traffic. Okay. So in terms of here, you would be able to see it was having deployment. Now the same object is converted to the rollout. In terms of strategy, this is like a default Kubernetes strategy that you can replace with this Canary. And in terms of services, if you have one service, you will create another set of service. So I think this is what Tulsi you are looking, right? If you want to do a demo to your client to show if you should go for rollout.
Yes.
So these are the only changes. So in terms of changes as well, you don't have to do something different. Just that you need to, as a step one, install the controller in that cluster, and that controller is then capable of observing, keep an eye on the any object of kind rollout and do the actions for you.
Nihal, one quick thing. So while running, can you just go back to the previous slide? Yeah. So my observation, right? I still once I rerun that particular exercise, whatever you're given might be understand better. So in the step, you have something called step wait 20, and you are given a pause. Correct. So it stops over here. Only after I try to run the Argo promote command, then it goes to the next steps.
Right.
Okay. So even after step 40, I can give one more pause and I can hold on just to buy time.
Yes. It's up to the way you customize it.
Okay.
Just for demonstration purpose, I did it as a one pause. You can add many as pause, as many as steps. Not only you are limited to do it as a 20%. It depends on the number of replicas. And yes, you can do like you roll out 20% traffic, do pause, then roll out 40%, do pause, do some manual test, then promote. It's customizable.
So whenever I have a blank without duration, only then I have to do promotion. Else afterwards, it will do by the duration, whatever it sets.
Yeah, I mean, whatever duration you would set, it would do after that, right?
Only promotion, if I have a blank one, promotion is something which we need to do it, correct?
Yes, because basically here we are saying it.
Not saying, correct.
I manually promote you further.
Got it. Just.
Sure. No worries. I mean, in regular scenario, like in the use case in my use case, what I did there was nowhere these pods were added. It was the analysis part that we added, and that analysis was basically doing this work of making sure that my new service is running correctly or not. Those checks.
So
Yeah,
this is without analysis. With analysis, yeah, that will change.
yes, right. To completely automate it, or to if you still in initial, I would say do a manual test, you can add this.
Okay, we'll go with this, and then next step was to add analysis.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It would be a step-by-step incremental approach only.
Makes sense.
Same, you have already seen this Helm chart that I just now showed, right? Nothing different. You would be just templatizing it, just like you do it for any other deployment object. Okay. And yes, these were my lessons from the work that we did. Is make sure that it shouldn't be a very short time to decide whether it should promote ahead or not. Based on what I have seen is companies keep it running for a long duration. When say long duration, like maybe a day, you can keep your older version as well running. Okay. Second and most important is carefully choose metrics when you are doing auto promotion or auto analysis. That metric should be the right one to do the decision making. Consider that I would say right now, whatever you are doing as a manual checks and you are confident that this is how I do a check, add that as a part of your analysis so that that automated process should do it. Third thing I would say, yes, in one go, you would never get it correctly. It would be always an iterative process, right? As the overall DevOps process in that way only. Start with small and then go progressively and try to improve something more in that. That's how I would suggest someone to use the any kind of deployment strategy that you would use it. Needless to say, don't directly try it in production. Start doing these things in stagings and then go in production. And the last but not least, I would say don't try to compare your Canary result directly with exact production, but try to compare it with the baseline results. Because sometimes what happens in case of like Java kind of applications, it keep accumulating those results, right? So better thing is try to compare it with the average results that you would have. That's all I had from my end. Anyone has any questions for me? Please go ahead.
Thanks for the wonderful session.
Thanks, Mr. Hope this gives some understanding around how we can move now from CD to progressive one. And I hope you'll be able to bring some change in your existing work scenarios using this.
Okay, all good, guys. See you. Thank you, Ninath, once again for putting all the efforts there, and looking forward for more collaboration like this. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, everyone. See you.
Yep. Thank you all.